Hello everyone, let's try to visualize the location of different dural venous sinuses. The first one is the superior sagittal sinus, which starts at the level of foramen cecum and it runs along this groove between the two cerebral hemispheres at the upper attached margin of the falx cerebri. Posteriorly, it terminates at the level of internal occipital protuberance, where it becomes continuous in majority of the cases into the right transverse sinus. So this sinus here is the right transverse sinus. Second dural venous sinus is the inferior sagittal sinus, which is roughly located in this area at the lower free margin of the falx cerebri. The inferior sagittal sinus joins the great cerebral vein and it forms the straight sinus. So the straight sinus is roughly present here. Now we are going to appreciate the two transverse sinuses. This is the right transverse sinus, which we have seen it is a continuation of the superior sagittal sinus. This is the left transverse sinus, which is actually the continuation of the straight sinus. And straight sinus is formed by the union of the inferior sagittal sinus and the great cerebral vein. Now the two transverse sinus, when they reach the inner aspect of the masstoid bone, they become continuous in the form of a sigmoid sinus, and sigmoid sinus, after making a bend, it continues into the internal jugular vein, which we cannot see in this view. Now we need to appreciate two other sinuses, which are the cavernous sinuses present on two sides of the body of the sphenoid. The cavernous sinuses are important as they receive the ophthalmic veins, central vein of the retina, and the Spheno-parietal sinus running along the lesser wing of the sphenoid. So the two cavernous sinuses, they drain into the superior petrosal sinus and the inferior petrosal sinus. These two sinuses, which are in relation with the upper and lower border of the petrous bone, these are the superior and inferior petrosal sinus. The superior petrosal sinus drain the cavernous sinus into the transverse sinus, and the inferior petrosal sinus drain the cavernous sinus into the internal jugular vein. The last one is this sinus, which is present at the attached margin of the falx cerebelli. This is the occipital sinus. Occipital sinus starts at the margin of the foramen magnum and it drains into this confluence of sinuses. This point is known as confluence of sinuses because here we can appreciate the confluence of the two transverse sinuses, superior sagittal sinus and the occipital sinus.